Hey guys, it's Adam here. First, I apologize for the complete alteration of the video format. This is very temporary, I assure you. I'm just doing it this one time. Basically, and I also apologize because I'm sure this will be off sync. It was either I do the video this way or it wasn't going to happen at all. I was just in San Francisco and I had to fly out. I came home. I was at a press event. Basically got home, took a shower. As you can see, that's not sweat, I swear. And I had to get myself together because I have to go off to Wisconsin. So I either do the video this way or I can't do it at all. I do apologize. And the video subject matter is, I felt, worth discussing. A lot of people have obviously feel it's worth discussing. It's the reveal of the Nintendo Switch, aka what was formerly known as the Nintendo NX. And I'm sure you guys know a lot of the basics already. It's Nintendo's brand new console. It's like a hybrid console slash portable. Maybe truly the first portable console of all time, unless you include things like the Neo Geo X, which I really wouldn't. But yeah, so it was interesting, man. They showed a lot of information in this trailer, basically what it was going to look like and all the different ways you could use it, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's basically a confirmation of everything people have been speculating about this thing for the past couple of years, that it was going to be this like weird console docking station hybrid deal. And I got a few things to say on it, although there's a lot that's already been said, but I'll first of all, the whole portable aspect of it, I'm sure will be fantastic for those who are really into portables. If I'm honest, I'm not one of them. I don't hate portables, contrary to what everyone says and tells me that I think. But no, I don't hate portables. I've just never developed the same kind of passion that I had for them that I did with consoles. Because here's the thing, I own a television. I like to play my games on a television. And in all the situations where I could actually use a portable device, I'm too busy at this point. I'm nearly 30 years old. I just never have the time to just be like, yeah, I should totally be gaming on the... Like, for example, I was just on that plane from San Francisco to Chicago, 4 hours. You would think, perfect, right? I could do that. Nah, man, I had work to do. So that's perfect opportunity to get some stuff done. I'm sorry, that's just sadly how it is for me. That doesn't represent anyone else, just me. So personally, when I get this thing, and yes, I'm going to get this thing, I will only really use it in the console form when it's hooked up to the docking station. So that's how it's going to be for me. Though I admit all the ways you can use it as a handheld look pretty cool. They give you a ton of different options with that controller, and the way it is, like there's that basic docking station where you can use it as the controller. There's also that Pro controller, which I'm guessing doesn't come with it. You probably have to buy that on your own. We don't know that, at least at the time I make this video. But I'll probably be using it that way. Then, of course, there's the ways to take the screen out, and you can use the controllers as like multiple controllers. It's got a lot of options. Go watch the original trailer. As a console, though, it doesn't look like a piece of Nintendo hardware, at least not to me. When I first looked at it, my native instinct was, I thought, oh, that's one of those like military laptops. That's what I thought that was. That's what it looks like to me. And then I kind of thought, oh, maybe it looks like something maybe Alienware would design or something like that. It didn't look like a Nintendo console. Nintendo consoles traditionally, they're very eye-catching, but almost look iconic from the get-go, even though that's not really possible. They just look, I don't know how else to describe it. They just look like Nintendo hardware. That one didn't look like Nintendo hardware. I'm not saying that's bad, just saying that was my first instinct. The other thing I noticed about it was the way they wrote Nintendo on it. The only other time they did this was with the GameCube. Usually Nintendo uses their logo as the main font of their console. In the case of the GameCube, right above GameCube it says Nintendo, but it says it in a totally different font, and it looks like the Switch is going to do that as well. Not a bad thing, just an interesting observation, which is cool. The name Switch, I think, is a really good name. If I'm honest, I think that is the marketing writes itself. Like, let's switch it on, switch it up, all that stuff in conjunction with the concept of that particular device, which is, switching out how you play it and how you use it. It's a really good name. And of course, you switch in those little carts. Of course, cartridges. I did a video on the whole NX to use cartridges thing a long time ago, and apparently I was totally right about that. I want to give a shout out to a buddy named O Nickel, a guy who runs a YouTube channel. He was like actually the first person who I heard about this whole reveal from, because he tweeted me out and said I was right, I called it, blah blah blah. Thank you for that. But yeah, it was really an interesting reveal, man. And I got to give Nintendo props for not aiming it just at children and families. They actually looked at it like, okay, the people who are going to watch this trailer and be excited about it are the kind of people we're going to show in the trailer. People who are in these situations where they might actually want to use it. And that was smart marketing. And with the name, though, I think not only is it a smart name, it's also interesting for them because Nintendo has never used just a word to describe their consoles before. If you look back at like the Nintendo Entertainment System, that's like an amalgamation of words. Super Nintendo Entertainment System, another amalgamation of words. Nintendo 64, that's a number. Nintendo GameCube is a made-up word. The Wii and the Wii U are both gibberish. I mean, sure, the word Wii is a real word, but not the way they spelled it. In fact, they spelled it that way so that any culture could pronounce it, because the word Wii is easy to say, so they just spelled it their own way. So it's just more gibberish. And of course, the Wii U was like super gibberish. So for them to use just an actual word in a dictionary to describe their console, that's new for them. They've never done that. And I'm trying to actually, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think what the last console was that used just a word, like a real word, not like PlayStation, which is just some shit they made up, like GameCube. It's just a made up term. I want to say the Saturn. Off the top of my head, I think the Saturn. Granted, Saturn was like a Greek god and a planet, so I'm not sure that necessarily counts as a word, but you get my point. So that was cool. Now, with this console, I can't help but wonder if we're kind of repeating history, though, because there's certain things we know and there's certain things we don't know. We don't know things like price point. I'm guessing $400 is USD, at least in North America. Well, specifically the US, it'll probably retail for $400, my guess. We don't know everything under the hood. We're assuming it's based on a Tegra design, which would be on par with like the Xbox One. That's the rumor that's been around for a while, and there's no reason to not think that's true, since most of the other rumors that came from the same rumor mill turned out to be basically true. If that's the case, that means we have a console that is anemic from the get-go. And that doesn't mean like, oh, fuck, it's not that good, I hate it, it's terrible. No, it just means that they're kind of basically repeating history here. They're putting themselves right in the same situation the Wii U was in. Now, here's the plus side to this. What I'm guessing, because you saw like Skyrim and you saw NBA 2K17 in that trailer, as well as the Nintendo kind of basically revealing a new Mario game. How badass was that? That was cool. But you basically look at that, and then you look at like the list of developers that are on board, right? And you have to think, because neither of those two games are new, 2K17 and Skyrim, you have to think that Nintendo went to these companies and said like, look, you've already finished these games. You've already had multiple bites of the apple, but how would you like another bite of the apple by putting it on our new platform? You know, because games are expensive to make these days, guys. So if they can put out a catalog title and release it that way and make some more money off of an older game, that could be a good way for Nintendo to go and get some third-party developers on board, at least from the get-go. Now, that kind of works because you're still sitting in the middle of the 8th generation, right? Like the Xbox One is still Microsoft's dominant console. PlayStation 4, on the other hand, while it's certainly still Sony's dominant console, they still have to deal with the possibility of PlayStation 4 Pro. And so PS4 Pro is going to be a more advanced device, and as we go on, we'll see how true that is and like how much more that pushes things. But all right, the point I'm trying to make here is that I think that Nintendo is going to get a lot of early third-party development from all these other companies, saying like they can basically re-release all their stuff. Although, in one thing that has come up since before I made this, right before I made this video or started recording this video, is that now Bethesda and 2K, the makers of Skyrim and NBA 2K17, haven't actually confirmed that those games are actually going to appear on the Nintendo Switch. They just said they were happy to work with them on the commercial. My guess is they'll both come about, but so anyway, so they might get a bunch of early third-party support by porting over a bunch of other games. We don't know of any third-party titles that are made just for this device, at least not yet. And I'm afraid that they're just repeating history here with the Wii U. If you guys remember, the Wii U launched, and it had a lot of initial third-party support for that same logic. A bunch of developers who had made games for the 360 and the PS3 would have had a relatively easy time porting all that stuff over to the Wii U, because it was not similar hardware, but it was similar enough hardware. And the Wii U really only had to, its first year in 2012 was just competing with, or 2012 and most of 2013, I should say, was just competing with the Xbox 360 and with the PlayStation 3. But when the Xbox One and PS4 came along, see you later, Wii U. And I'm kind of thinking that might be the same case here. Like they might get like one nice year of third-party support, and then as people grit their teeth, get more into the PS4 Pro, and especially when the Scorpio comes out in, I'm guessing, what was it, November of 2017? I'm wondering if people just drop Nintendo like a dirty shirt again. And that scares me because this is probably Nintendo's final home console if it doesn't do well. I'm not saying it won't. It might crush it. It might be amazing. I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fantastic gaming console. I'm just concerned about Nintendo from a business standpoint. And I know people like tell me, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Nintendo has a bunch of money." It's like, yeah, they have a bunch of money now, but like that will deplete and run out. You can't just indefinitely exist on just. You have to increase, the amount of income coming in. It's just how that works. That's the nature of business. Anyway, so the other thing that I want to quickly talk about here is this a 9th gen console or not? We don't know that. This is an interesting generation because basically the PS4 Pro is not Sony's 9th gen console. It's just an upgraded 8th gen console. Microsoft, by their own admission, all over E3 this year, said the Scorpio is not an 8th gen console, even though it will be by far the most advanced console ever produced. And so you go, okay, that's not a 9th gen console. So what is the Switch? Because Nintendo is not quite as obvious about this, and yet at the same time, their 9th gen console, and I use heavy quotations over that, might be the weakest of all of them. In fact, we assume it is weaker than the Xbox One, so it's unlikely it could be considered a 9th gen console. So you basically are taking the 8th gen and like mutating it. We're just updating all of it, and that's true. We seem to also be just updating all the problems because you're not really fixing a lot of the Wii U's problems. You're just kind of updating them. So yeah, that's kind of my initial thoughts on it. Obviously, I haven't had a whole lot of time to let this settle because I didn't hear about any of this until I got off the plane. So this is kind of my first instincts here. But yeah, nevertheless, I am excited about this thing. I definitely want to check one out in March 2017 when it comes out. It's nice to go back and look at some of my videos I did on the NX or with Switch now and see what I got right, what I got wrong. And I hope you guys go check those out and, say which ones I got right and which ones I got wrong too. But anyway, you guys tell me. What do you think about the Switch? Are you excited about it? Do you want one? Personally, I want one, but I kind of want a different colored one. I don't know. I want one that pops more in a Nintendo way. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but it would still be nice. Looking forward to a lot of those games, particularly that Mario game. That looks really cool. I also think we're going to get a lot of Wii U games with like Switch Definitive Edition ports. Mario Kart 8 looked like it's going to be one of them. Splatoon's probably going to be one of them, etc. We also now know backwards compatibility isn't going to be a thing. At least it's not going to play like 3DS games. They confirmed that just today. And it has no disk drive, so it's not going to play like Wii U, Wii, or GameCube. I still hold out very unlikely hope that there's some sort of add-on that will go in through some sort of like USB port or something that could allow for that, but that's a fantasy. There's no reason to think that will happen. But nevertheless, very cool. I'm excited, and thank you guys for watching. I do apologize again for the video format. It was either this or it just wasn't going to happen. But thank you guys again. I will see you all later.